Hello everyone. Today, the the Broward County Sheriff's Department is in the news again for another instance of inaction by their department. This is a situation that I think many people might be sort of scared or shocked by, so if you are unaware of the fact that bad things do happen in the world and the police might not be able to protect you, this might be a little bit of an eye-opener for you. Before we get going into this, I want to say thank you to the sponsor of this channel, Franklin Armory. I recently had a chance to spend a weekend with them shooting some cool guns. I'm going to have videos on that shortly. I just got to get some time to process the footage and put it all together. Thank you, Franklin Armory, for sponsoring this channel and helping me continue forward. Also got to say thank you to the company that handles my merch, shallnotcomply.com. The link in the description has a link to that where you can go get some of my merch, as well as supporting some other creators like Johnny B or Tactical Considerations, as well as Pew Pew Tactical. Also, Anthony Miranda, armed scholar, recently got brought on by the Firearms Policy Coalition as an in-house lawyer for them. I'm not sure the actual technical term for what he's going to be doing, but congratulations to him. So let's read the title of this article. Sheriff, hurry up please. Disabled Florida man battles intruder as cops wait down the street. First of all, why is it always Florida man? I don't know what it is, but it's always Florida man. A neighborhood is questioning why Florida deputies would leave a terrified disabled man to fend for himself as long as they did. 70-year-old Bill Norkunis, so you're going to hear me say Norkunis or Nakunis, I don't know how to actually pronounce that. But basically it says, a childhood polio survivor headed over to the light and flicked it on, hoping to scare away whoever was there. Instead, the light was a beacon drawing a young man to his front door, a door made of glass. Now this next paragraph is a mouthful, so bear with me. And then for the next 15 minutes, Nakunis stood there, barefoot and unclothed, with his crutches, on one side of the glass pane trying to steady a gun in his trembling hand while the stranger stood on the other side, pounding on the door, banging it with his hip, or gnawing at the thick hurricane glass with a garden paver. Norkunis, who suffered from minor injuries from the glass digging into his foot, has no idea why the man, later identified as 23-year-old Timothy Johnson of Fort Lauderdale, tried to break down his door on November 7th. And as bewildering and just as terrifying to him is the knowledge that a squad of Broward sheriff's deputies responded to his Tamarack neighborhood, but none of them came close to his home to stop the man. Instead, they waited down the street until he walked over to them and surrendered. The only reason the police actually got him is because the man walked up and submitted himself to the police. The Broward Sheriff's Office responds to tens of thousands of calls of service each year. The vast majority of these calls are handled appropriately with satisfactory outcomes. The Broward County Sheriff's Office constantly reviews and assesses its responses to emergency calls in order to provide the highest level of service to the public. Neighbors would not call the service the highest level. Instead of stopping Norkunis at the door of many of these homes, they waited some 500 yards away while he terrorized the neighborhood. The neighbors flooded 911 emergency communication systems, begging for help for almost 15 minutes. If he opens the door, can I shoot him? Norkunis asked the 911 dispatcher about 2 minutes into his phone call for help. Now, this is something that I think really is an excellent point brought up from this article. Many of you should probably read into your state's self-defense laws a lot more than you probably have. Many people own firearms, but they don't understand the legal ramifications of when they can and when they can't use lethal force. The state of California, unlike many people think, actually has pretty decent laws when it comes to self-defense, but if you want a better explanation of that, because that is way outside my realm of expertise, I'm going to recommend that you actually go check out Armed Scholar's channel. He has a video on self-defense laws in the state of California. And I think that would give you a great starting point. If you're not in the state of California, feel free to look around online, talk to some lawyers. I am not a lawyer, but generally, you're going to want to know when you can and when you cannot use lethal force, aka a firearm. By the third minute, Norkunis is telling the dispatcher that the stranger is trying to kick the door in, according to a recording of the call. While still on phone with the dispatcher, Norkunis can be heard warning the stranger that he better leave or he is going to get shot. He says, get the cops here quick at minute 4. 3 minutes later, he says, Sheriff, hurry up, please. 3 more minutes pass. Where the hell are the cruisers? They're still not here. Jesus Christ, there's still no cruisers. Come to my house, please, please. He tells the dispatcher that the glass door is smashed in and he doesn't know what to do. The dispatcher tells him the deputies are canvassing the area to make sure no one else gets hurt. Well, I can assure you that if the main threat is at Norkunis' house, the best way to make sure no one gets hurt would be to go to Norkunis' house, but in this case, it appears that the police did not respond and did not go for it. A dispatcher hears the glass breaking and alerts the 18 deputies who had been assigned to Norkunis's home. He then goes on to say, if he gets inside this house, I don't know what I'm going to do. I've never shot anybody. And yes, most people have probably never shot or shot at anybody, but I think it's important for people to kind of realize and understand that if you own a gun and you're going to present a firearm to a situation, you need to be mentally ready and physically ready to do so, because if you bring a gun into a situation and you're not mentally or physically ready to use it, it could potentially be taken from you. And now you don't know the initial intent of that person, but bringing a lethal firearm into the mix in a situation where the guy probably isn't the best person, not ideal. If you're not ready to use it, it might not be best to pull it out, but that's a topic for another day. This article then goes on to recount the stories of several other people who were on the phone with the police and talking about their experience, saying, please, oh God, oh God, oh God, he's walking to my fucking house. Holy fuck, please help me, cried out another neighbor who spent several minutes on the phone with the dispatcher, initially trying to get help for Norkunis and then for herself as Johnson headed towards her house. A man who was following the subject says, oh my God, this guy is fucking terrorizing everybody's house and you guys are nowhere to be found. He could have gotten away with it and he could have hurt somebody. My neighbor is disabled. My neighbor walks with a cane and you guys take your time. You guys take your fucking time. The dispatcher responds to that, says they were not taking their time. I don't know. It kind of sounds like they were taking their time to me, but who knows? Norkunis goes on to say, bottom line, my life could have ended that night, or the attacker's life could have ended, while more than a dozen well-armed deputies did not respond to my house. I think this is the big takeaway of the story. Multiple Supreme Court cases have determined that the police have no duty or obligation to actually protect you. They don't have to actually do anything. They are not legally required to be there to help you. Just because the police exist does not mean that personal responsibility and your own safety is not your own responsibility. You need to have the tools to protect yourself. You need to have the ability to ward off criminals, ward off anyone that wishes to attack you. Otherwise, you are at the whim of other people, which is ultimately not a good thing if you're looking to be self-reliant. Ultimately, there's a lot of takeaways from here. You need to be physically ready to protect yourself. You need to be mentally ready to protect yourself. You need to understand the laws in your state and federally or wherever it is that you live when it comes to self-defense. When you can and when you can't defend yourself legally will determine the outcome after the event. Whether or not you feel you have the legal right to defend yourself is different than the moral right or what you think you should be able to do. If you defend yourself, that's better than being dead in your own personal view. But if you do so in a way that is illegal or unlawful, as the state or feds might determine it, you're going to end up ruining your life anyway. So you need to know when you can, when you can't, and how to protect yourself. Many people, I think, would be very well served by taking a CCW course, regardless of whether or not you actually get your concealed carry weapons permit. Many people would be well served by taking one of those classes because they mostly do cover topics like self-defense and when you can and cannot use a firearm. Now, this person said that everybody that he tells this story now wants to buy a gun. Well, here's the thing. You don't need to live in fear. Many people that already owned guns for self-protection don't live in fear. A lot of people will say, Reno, why do you carry a gun? What are you afraid of? Well, the humorous answer to that is, I don't have anything to be afraid of. I have a gun. But in more reality-based answer to that would be, I understand that the world isn't perfect and that I might never and hopefully never am in a situation where I need my gun. Statistically, I will never need my gun. That would be a safe bet to take. However, I take on the mild, very, very mild discomfort of having an extra 2 pounds attached to my belt every day if it means that I have the level of comfort that comes with knowing I'm self-reliant on myself. I personally, I've got a story on my YouTube channel talking about this. I think it's just called Why I Own Guns. I called the police once when I saw a car veer off the side of the road on I-5 at the middle of the night. And I called the police, and after being put on hold for several minutes, I finally got to an operator, explained what happened, explained where it happened, and the response from them was, what do you want me to do about it? It was in that moment that I realized that my personal safety and the safety of the people that I care about was all on me. The police cannot, won't, and don't have to be there to protect you in your most important time of need. You guys know the drill. Have fun, be safe, stay dangerous. Peace.